back. It's Marks here, and we are continuing with our play series of Unconditional Surrender. So, I just would like to send a quick shout out and a thank you for all of the support in the last video. Just felt like I'd gotten all kinds of support, and I really appreciate it. It really makes me want to continue with my compulsion to make gaming videos, so that's great. Thanks a lot. So I just want to quickly go over a few things that were brought up in the comments of last video. I'd made an error when it came to the USSR Northern Border event. I forgot to deploy some Soviet units, so we're going to put this guy here, 33rd Infantry Army, and we're going to deploy the 38th here on our, that is the Soviet border. I also neglected to drop in a no event marker into the cup when we placed a marker in it, so we're just going to do that now. I don't think it's going to break anything. It gave someone a very slight advantage, I think, the Soviets, but they ended up drawing the political failure last turn anyway. So, carrying on. So I also wanted to touch on something that I had been playing which is outside of the scope of the rules. In other words, I was breaking a rule, which is the fact that the British air units were covering French on the defensive end. And I mean, this is something I had figured I was doing wrong earlier in the game. I don't know, 7-8 months ago, who knows. And I read the rule and I was just like, I decided to, just to break things up a little bit, and also to play by my own rule set. Well, it's just one little thing. I probably will break / forget / change rules all the way through, but anyway, specifically regarding the air support rule, I thought, why not? Let's just pretend that they had the coordination to call in for defensive air support because they're allies, right? So and I think that the same thing is going to apply as far as the Axis faction is concerned. They're going to be able to support their allies, vice versa, etc. So I think I'm just going to continue playing that way. It might come up again, and I mean, I will mention it if it does, but from here on in, I'm just going to assume that air units of the same faction can air support one another. Okay. Oh, also that the WDF stands for Western Defense Force. This is something else that came up in the comments, and thanks for that. All right, so carrying on here. The time is September 1940, and all the weather zones have remained fair for this month. The Axis faction declines to declare war on any other country. Their entire focus currently is on the invasion of France. Just a quick review of the economic situation. Currently, the Germans have 26 production points, Finland and Sweden both sitting at 2. France is down to 12 production points because of the loss of some of their factories in the war. And the United Kingdom is at 18 currently. They have the Commonwealth trade active, but have lost 4 factories due to strategic warfare. Actually, they should be down 2 then. Oops, they're down to 16. I miscalculated that. Anywho, let's see what happens in strategic warfare phase. Germany was not able to use any of their additional strategic warfare advantages like the submarines this round, so no result yields one of the factories of the United Kingdom gets rebuilt. For strategic movement, the Axis 4th German Infantry Army successfully finishes its strategic move And the Germans are going to activate the Norway army that's based out of Stavanger for a strategic move, and they are going to strategic move all the way through occupied Norway and Axis-controlled Sweden and Finland to back up their Finnish allies on the Eastern Front. Well, I guess the Northeastern Front. Now, the Western faction declines to do a strategic move at this time, but the Soviets, seeing that there are troop formations amassing in Finland, they are deciding to strategic move the 3rd Infantry Army from Kiev up north here through Volkhov and up to their northern border with Finland. Actually, they can go here. It's been ceded now, in order to protect their northern border. Now we're into the Axis operation phase, the meaty goodness of this game. Now we're just going to kind of think about what the Germans are planning here. They definitely want to attack the Maginot Fort areas and take over Strasbourg here. That's their plan for this turn anyway. Also, Metz is under here. That was kind of an error on my part of the Allied faction, or the Western faction, I should say. I should have left a unit there, but I guess that was a tactical mistake on my part, and that's going to hurt us as far as the French national will is concerned. Also, I'm thinking we want to make a direct assault on these British units. So I think we're going to divert the 2nd Panzer Army and the 1st Panzer Army and make a drive through and hopefully take over Le Havre and push those British units back into the sea or back further into France. But I think for this turn our main objectives will be Strasbourg, Metz, and Le Havre. So let's get started here. I think I might as well start with the 2nd Panzer Army. So we're going to activate them for 2 production points. And we're going to, well, let me think about this for a second. I think before I do that, I want to move up this German Luftwaffe wing here. I think they're going to move here just to the east of Calais. They need 5 sorties. Now they're just to give us some support on that side because we're running out of air support. We're too deep into France and we haven't advanced our air units. Now I'm going to go ahead with the activation of this 2nd Panzer. So we're going to withdraw back over this way. So 1 over the river, 2, 3, 4 for the river, 5, and then I think 6 here. And that puts us down to 4 movement points remain. Probably only enough to do 1 attack here. So across the river for 1, attacking the unit, and into a clear hex. That is 3, 1, 2, 3 more movement points. Now both of these air wings participated in the battle. This one's now at 6 sorties, and this one is now at 4. The 1st Royal Air Force Wing in Southampton, or close to it anyway. And the 2nd Panzer Army attacked across the Seine River, and the result was a defender disrupted. So we are reduced and are forced to retreat. I think this is our safest bet. And the German panzer assault is opening a crack in the beleaguered line in France. So the 2nd Panzer's activation is complete. We're going to go ahead and activate the 1st Panzer Army for 2 production points. And they are going to advance west and make an attack on the British Expeditionary Force there in Le Havre. Underneath them are the 1st French Fleet and a French convoy. Unfortunately, though, the Panzer Army is going to have no air support, so they're going to be doing it on their own. We're going to activate this guy, I think, for help in defending the hex. I have to go far, far away to grab a counter. Anyway, let's work out the results. Well, the first wave of the attack failed to make a crack in the British defensives. However, the attack wasn't stalled, so the 1st Panzer Army still has 6 movement points. They're going to try the attack again, so it's 1 for the attack, and 2 because it's a unit in a city. They are down to 3 points. Now, the British do have their tanks marker here. Do they want to use that at this time? It might be beneficial just to push us over the edge of, you know, really toppling the attack. But unless we roll really well, the Germans will still be able to attack. So do I hold off one more attack and see how it goes? I think I'll hold off. Right now we'll just send in another sortie from the 1st RAF. And let's see what the results are on the 2nd attack on Le Havre. Alright, with the help of the 1st Air Force, the British Expeditionary Force managed to stall the attack of the 1st Panzer Army. Not great for the Germans. Weren't able to fulfill their plans on that front anyway. Yes, talking about the British tank unit, it's probably wiser to keep it to mount some kind of a counterattack when it's the Western faction's turn. So we'll see how that plays out. So right now I think we just want to kind of shore up our line and protect ourselves from such a counterattack. The French also have a tank marker that they could use for counterattack. So I think what we're going to do is kind of seal up our line around Paris. And oh yeah, we don't have air support for the Germans. They are quite busy lately, so they haven't been able to keep up. Anyway, so I think we'll activate the German 6th Infantry there, and they are going to head south and go here. We'll end their activation there. I don't think I want to try and assault over. Do I want to try and assault? I suppose I could. Why not? Let's do that. We're going to activate this guy. We're going to activate this guy. That's another point. And we're going to activate this guy. He's going to jump over the Marne here. Yeah, I don't think this is a bad idea. All 3 of these are going to activate for assaults. Let's do this. Make it look good. Boom. And boom. Let's see. I don't necessarily have to resolve that now. We're going to move the 2nd Army. That's yet another production point. 2nd Army. We'll go here. We're going to have a flood of units crossing the Maginot line here. Let's actually zoom over there before we resolve that assault. Now we're going to activate all these units. This is going to be an expensive operations month for the Germans. Let's start with the 10th. We're down to 17. The Axis is down to, or sorry, Germany is down to 17 production points. They're going to cross the river into France proper. So that's 2 movement points. This Maginot Fort is destroyed. And we're going to another 2 here. And I think we'll end their activation now. Oh yeah, looks like Metz is about to fall. So the 18th Army, they're going to occupy Metz. That's another 2 national will down for the French. They're down to 6, getting pretty tight. So that was 1, 2 to occupy Metz, 3, and I think we'll end their activation there. These guys are done as well. Now these 3 units here, I think we're going to, do I have enough movement points to do that? You know what? I kind of wanted to circle around just to make it so that this unit here, guarding Strasbourg, didn't have a place to retreat, but I think we'll let it go for now. We'll just advance into this forest here, and we're going to activate those three for an assault. Okay, I think it's time to resolve some assaults. Now this Luftwaffe wing here in Aachen, the 3rd Luftwaffe, they participated in the attack, but the assault failed to have any effect on the French 8th Army. They are too well dug in there, and those forts are going to be difficult to break and get him dislodged out of there. So this might prove more difficult as the months goes on. This is our last month of guaranteed good weather. So we'll see. The French might be able to hold off until winter. They've got a upgraded unit coming in December. I'm just going to place this down while I think about it. Yeah, so this could prove interesting. Let's go ahead and resolve this assault. All right, the 1st RAF helps out in the defense of the Hex here, the 1st French Mobile Army, and the assault fails to do any damage, so they are stalled out here. It was just kind of a a probing attack just to see what happened. But anyway, without air support, without German air support, not a lot can be done. I do believe that's the end of the German operations phase. Let me have a quick look around here. I think one thing the Germans definitely have to do is rebase this Luftwaffe unit up here, putting them in range of, or better range of the line, and being able to do some air support is definitely a great thing. Yeah, so we've got a couple of air control bubbles happening, which is okay, but the British and the French didn't exhaust all their air units, so I can see a counterattack possibly being mounted here. Maybe something little, but not something huge. So I think that's the end of the German operations phase. Well, as far as the Axis faction is concerned, they didn't really fulfill all of their objectives this turn. Whoops. They did manage to dislodge the Western Defense Force, and they did reduce them. But their main objectives were to capture Le Havre, Metz, and Strasbourg. They only managed to capture Metz, which was pretty much a gimme because it was unoccupied. So this being the last good weather turn, I can't see it getting any easier for the Germans. But the French are at 6 national will. All we need to do is capture a couple more cities or eliminate a few more units. So they are very close to surrendering. Oh man, we'll see how the Western faction reacts to the Germans here. Also, let's do just a little bit of tidying up here. I think it can be assumed at this point that these are all under Axis control, so let's just get a better look at the map and see what exactly has fallen. Oh, there's one under here too. All of Netherlands, all of Belgium, and the better portion of northeastern France. Oh, I also forgot to show that this was a factory here in Metz that had fallen. So the French are down to 5 factories currently. Ouch. Alright, let's begin the Western faction operations phase. We're just going to think about maybe what our plan is. It looks like we have an opportunity to hopefully maybe do some damage on this German 2nd Panzer Army. They have no eligible retreat hex at the moment. So I think the British Expeditionary Force are going to lead an assault, try and do some damage. Maybe we'll get some lucky, or we'll see what happens. Anyway, we still have a sortie here. Oops. I love it when that happens. We still have a sortie up there in London. And as you can see, the Axis has no available air units. They're both all used up in the last attack. So that puts them at somewhat of a disadvantage as well. So that gives this British force here defending Le Havre a little bit of a chance, hopefully, to do some damage. And then depending on what happens there, we might divert some French forces up there and maybe finish this unit off, depending on what happens. Let's think about that. But as far as the French, I don't know if they're in any position to do any serious attacks. I think maybe an assault over the Seine here against the 6th Army. We can get, hopefully, lucky hit there. And we do have lots of air support there as well. I think that's all we're going to try this turn. So let's work out what happens when the British Expeditionary Force launches an assault with the Western Defense Force and the air sortie out of London. Luckily, the attack did manage to work. They forced them into a defender retreat result. They have nowhere to go, so they are reduced. This is going to put the French in a novel position to put the hurt on that army. That would really put a plug in the German invasion here. So I think, all right, we're going to look at the 9th Army here in reserve in Vichy. It's going to swing to the northwest as such. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that puts it in a good position to perform an assault with the, what is that, the 6th Army, 69. Let's see the results here. All right, with the assistance of the 2nd Air Force, the units did manage to cause a retreat result, which is going to destroy the 2nd Panzer Army. Ouch, that is awful. We're going to advance into this hex here. That is a major blow to the German attack. Owie. Talk about, a tactical error of the German generals. They overextended themselves. All right, the French are going to activate the 1st, 7th, and 2nd Armies to perform an assault on the German 9th Army across the Seine River. They're going to be supported by the 1st Air Wing west of Vichy. And I think the French are going to use their tank marker. And I think the lead unit will be the 7th Army. They've got use of some French tanks. Let's see how this goes. At least if you're rooting for the Germans. The German 9th does have a retreat hex. So let's see how this goes. All right, the 9th Army takes a hit. They are disrupted and they are forced to retreat over the Marne. And the do I advance? I think let me just think about this. If we do cross, then we've got a clear space here. Oh my. We do have a clear attack route here, so I think we're going to remain on this side of the river just to keep our defensive line. I didn't just notice, but the British Expeditionary Force does not have a retreat hex. That's going to put them in a bad spot next turn. But I think that assault is complete, and maybe perhaps I'll have to look around, but the Western faction's turn might be done. I was also looking at the Force H in Gibraltar. I'll just show you it here. This sucker. Now, I would love to be able to use it as like an air wing, but you're not allowed to do that. I think you're allowed to use it for assaults in a surprise attack situation or something like that. Oh, and also I was thinking about my rule change where I changed the air rules that say the British could use an air unit to defend a French unit that's under attack. Now, that's strictly against the rules. You're not supposed to do that. But I thought, whatever, it's not going to blow up the game or anything. But then I decided to refine it maybe a little bit. On defense, you have a little bit more leeway to say call in to air support. I'd say you don't need as much, coordination on the defensive side. Whereas on the offensive side, maybe you would need a little more coordination. So I'm gonna modify my house rule somewhat again to say that air units from allied countries cannot support you in offense, only in defense. Oh yeah, I've been meaning to do this for a while. We're going to rebase the French naval force that's based out of Le Havre. They're going to rebase over to Nantes. I don't know how to say that with a French accent, but that cost them a sortie, first fleet, and the first convoy unit. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm supposed to be flipping this one over. I'm kind of tired, just so you know. Just got off night shift trying to put out some video here. What else? I think, do we rebase the British? I think we do. Yeah, we're going to rebrace the British first convoy into Le Havre, and then the British Expeditionary Force has a out if we need an out. We also have our, where is it here? Naval evacuation token that the British can use. It lets us have a Dunkirk type scenario and withdraw. I think if we're on any coast line, we can withdraw using that token to a British port, controlled port. No, are we gonna rebase this home fleet? I've been using this guy over here in Brest to supply my British units. Yeah, you know what? I think we'll just keep everyone together. It's going to cost an extra sortie, but we can always rebase if we have to. And I don't really necessarily have to be moving around the Navy here. They're not really going to have an effect on the land war at this point, but I guess just to keep things organized, I'm going to keep everyone together. Okay. All right, just an overall look at the Western Front here. I think I'm going to call it an end of the phase for the Western faction, although this guy, no, I think he's going to hold up there. Yeah, we're not going to move him. But sweeping success for all of the Western's operations. They managed to push back the German 9th and destroyed the 2nd Panzer Army, which is just brutal. That's a huge loss for the Germans. That's going to be fun thinking about that next turn, what we're going to do. Anyway, we've got to resupply these guys. We're going to use this guy. Resupply for 1 sortie each. I'm pretty sure I'm doing that right. I only really look up the rules when I'm not quite sure about something or I need to know specifically. But in general, I think if I've got the basic gist down of it, I'm okay with it. If I make mistakes, well, this game is great at being a sandbox. You're not going to blow the game up if you make the odd mistake here and there. So anyway, let's have a look quickly at the Soviet faction's operations. Now, up here in the north, in Karelia, we are definitely feeling the threat of the Axis out of Finland. But I don't think we're going to move anything right now. Everyone is kind of well placed. We did do a strategic move up here. And as well, so did the Axis. That's that's the Norway army. But for now, I think we're okay. We definitely feel like there is some threats coming from the Axis side. Let's have a look down in Poland. Now, there's not a huge massing of Axis units at this point. They're really just fulfilling their Eastern Front. Oh, home defense. Yes, the Eastern Front home defense rule. They're just really fulfilling that. I mean, we do have those garrisons. They don't need to be there, but I think the Axis definitely is thinking about using them. I'll give you a little hint. I think the Axis wants to possibly attack the Soviets sooner rather than later, just so we can get that's Russian winter event over and done with. Because that's brutal. But if we can get, let's say we have the Russian winter in 1940, then we have the rest of the war to try and take advantage of not having that damned winter event in play. The only problem with that is the invasion of France is going so bloody terribly for the Axis. So that's going to put a big, huge damper on things. And plus, this is the last guaranteed month of good weather, September. Oi, oi, oi. Well, the Soviets, they do have lots of reserves. They do have sort of a line set up on their western border. And yeah, they've got reserves all over the place. So typical Russians, they've got troops all over the place. Maybe not the best quality, but they are everywhere. They're not going to do much this operations phase, so I think we're going to carry on with the rest of the turn here. We're in the replacements phase. I'm going to replace the two German air wings, the two French air wings, the two British air wings. We're going to do some... We got lots of production points to spend, so we're going to try and get everybody built back up here, and through the magic of editing, ta-da! There we go. All of these units have been resupplied or replaced. The two air wings up here, these two air wings. Over here in Brest, I was kind of humming and hawing should I resupply them. But that would have put the Brits under 5 production points, which means they would not have been able to participate in the political diplomacy phase, which I think at this point would be a pretty dumb idea. They've got Spain at pro-Western, which would be good to have. You never know. Yeah, but I don't think I missed anything. I didn't do anything under here. Those were all those British units, or Navy. They didn't resupply, so anyway. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the 9th Army was replaced back to full strength. And the French got to mobilize the 10th Army down here in Vichy in reserves. One of the units they had eliminated previously. And they did have 2 to mobilize, but they just didn't have the production points. They only had 1 remaining. Time for diplomacy. Everyone's favorite time. So I got a cup here. I'm just going to mix it up. I won't show you what's in there. But for the Axis faction, they're going to draw, and what have we got? A no event. Oh boy. Not great. Now the British, the Western faction, they have just enough cash. They've got 7 to spend. Now, what have we got in here? We got lots of no events. We got that area seized, which if it gets drawn, it's destroyed. There's the pro-Axis and 2 political success. We're definitely going to draw. This is the Western faction, mixing it up, and no event. Oh man. Now the Soviets, what do they want to do? Let me think about this for a second. Yes, as the Soviets, they don't really have a lot of stake in the politics. Romania, which does share a border with the Soviet Union, is pro-Axis at this point, but I think it would be better for the Soviets to throw a wrench at the Axis by adding a political failure event. So we're going to add a political failure and a no event into the cup. And now, finally, for the end of the turn. We are advancing into October of 1940. The French are going to get their tanks unit back. The Germans are going to get, or the Axis has, Axis, I should say, getting their ground support. And oh, la-di-da, 17th Army is coming in. So, oh, one more thing. The 2nd Panzer gets to be put into the mobilization box. That is the end of the September 1940 turn. Well, here we are. We'll have one final look at the Western Front here at the end of September 1940. Did not go great for the Axis this turn. In fact, a huge stall in their attack in the last few months has really made things hard. And man, as the Axis, we're really stuck as to what to do next. I mean, we haven't used the magical airdrop marker yet. Now, we could, in theory, next turn, we've got an air unit here, we could do an airborne invasion of Lyon, and maybe it's about 50-50 chance take it over, and that would drop the French national will by 2 once again, and maybe force them into a withdrawal. But considering how strong their line is, that's not the greatest idea. Is there anywhere else we could probably have some stuff like that? I don't know. There's that, or we could use the airdrop to get a -2. I'm looking at Le Havre there. But there really doesn't look like there's a strong place to bust through. And as the Axis, I really don't think I've been playing very well tactically. The Western faction, they had a great tactical turn last turn. They managed to destroy a German Panzer Army and push back the Ninth Army here. So yeah. What else was I gonna say? There was something else I was thinking about. Like I said, I was tired. I think in the next video I might change the format a little bit. I don't want to be so detailed as to each part of what I'm doing, unless everyone likes that. I don't know. But I was kind of thinking of just doing like summaries and only showing like the big stuff that happened. I don't know. I mean, I'm comfortable doing things this way, and it's kind of fun doing it, although it does make the videos tend to run a bit long. So if anyone made it this far into the video and they have a suggestion for possible change of the formatting, or just shoot me an idea and I'll consider it. But like I said, it's hard to I often do this when I'm making videos. I kind of go into, oh, the making video process is such a pain in the butt or whatever, right? It definitely makes playing a game different, right? And whereas if I'm just sitting here and focusing on the game, I can get through months and months and months at a time and kind of keep focused. But with the video and trying to keep things focused on that as well as playing everything single-handedly from all sides. I mean, whatever, it can be done. I just, like I'm saying, maybe there's a change of format coming for this series. I really want to push this game to the end so that it makes this potentially very long, and I'm okay with that. If this takes 6 months to produce, then fine. Of course, I'd rather set myself up with a better schedule, but we'll see. We'll see. And you never know. I might be like, you know what? I've played far enough, and play something else. So no guarantees, I guess. But my goal is to play out to the completion here. I was talking slightly a little bit about my plans as the Axis and possibly declaring war on the Soviet faction. That would be a difficult thing to deal with, but it would sure change the alternate history. And I mean, right now we're already outside of the scope of what happened in history. But it's like, why not? Why not just play the Germans as totally insane? And let's see how they can deal with the onslaught of everyone coming at them, and maybe ending the war very early potentially. I mean, the Americans, the sooner I attack the Russians, the sooner the Americans come in, and that's going to make things all the more difficult. Also, the political game. There's been hardly any political action happening. There's been no. I mean, aside from a couple of things, Sweden and what was the other one? Yeah, that's it. That's the only country that's actually joined. Oh no, Finland. Sorry. Those are the only countries that have joined the Axis. Other than that, there's been pretty low political. So you know what? Maybe in the next coming months, the winter months, maybe the Germans will start playing a bit more of a political game, seeing what they can get uh, to their advantage. And likewise, from all the other factions. And also, a chance to build up and maybe form some kind of a better plan. I don't know. Anyway, here I am ranting away. As usual, I want to thank everyone if you got this far, or if you're enjoying this video, thanks a lot for checking it out. And I hope to be getting some more out soon. Please be patient with me. I'm a busy guy. Anyway, take care, everyone. And thanks a lot for watching. This has been Marks. Thanks, and bye-bye.